Unconventional crush. I entered the locker room, the sound of laughter immediately filling my ears. I tried to ignore it, hoping they would leave me alone this time, but my classmates, always on the lookout for a way to taunt me, started whispering and pointing as I approached my locker. "Hey Marcus, did you enjoy your last peeping session?" Miko sneered, his cronies laughing along with him. "Perks of studying in an all-boys school, you get to see the handsome men everywhere," he added. I clenched my fists, suppressing the anger building up inside me. I knew better than to engage with them. I just wanted to change quickly and get out of here. As I reached my locker, I noticed Ivan and John arguing with each other. Ivan's face was twisted with rage, accusing John of stealing his underwear. I frowned, wondering how they could fight over something so trivial. Opening my locker, I froze as my eyes fell upon a pair of underwear hanging on the door. My heart sank, and panic surged through me. The whole situation seemed too convenient, too perfectly orchestrated. I knew Ivan set me up. But before I could say anything, the boys around me erupted into laughter, accusing me of stealing Ivan's underwear. I stood frozen, unsure of how to react. The laughter and taunts were like physical hit, and my mind turned blank. "Wow, Marcus, I always knew you were gay, but stealing underwear? That's a new low," Ivan sneered, his cronies laughing and egging him on. I opened my mouth to protest, to tell him that I didn't take the underwear, but the words caught in my throat, and I knew that no matter what I said, they would never believe me. "It's not true," I said weakly, hoping to convince them, but I fell on deaf ears. "Sure, Marcus, we believe you, just like we believe in unicorns and the tooth fairy," John added sarcastically. The ridicule continued, the boys taking turns mocking me and accusing me of being a thief. I felt like I was in a nightmare, unable to wake up. I turned to Ivan and took a step forward, my hands balled into fists. "I didn't take your underwear, Ivan. Why would I even want it? Just leave me alone." The laughter died down, and Ivan's expression turned dark. "What did you say?" he asked, his voice low and threatening. "I said I didn't take it. It's true," I replied, determined to stand my ground. The boys exchanged skeptical glances, and Ivan stepped closer to me, his hot breath on my face. "You're lying, Marcus, and you know what we do to liars." My heart sunk, realizing the gravity of the situation. These boys weren't going to let me off the hook so easily. "I'm not lying, you're just too stupid to understand that." "Who do you call stupid?" Suddenly, Ivan's anger took physical form. I winced as Ivan's fist hit my face, the pain shooting through every nerve in my body. The room spun around me, but I summoned all my strength to stay on my feet. "Why are you doing this?" I choked out, blood dripping from my split lip. "What did I ever do to you?" Ivan snarled, his eyes consumed with rage. "You think you're better than everyone, don't you? Always playing the innocent victim? Well, it's time someone taught you a lesson." His fist collided with my stomach again, causing me to double over in agony. Tears welled in my eyes, a mixture of physical pain and emotional turmoil. I desperately searched for a way out, but the locker room seemed to shrink around me. "I'm not trying to be the victim," I gasped, struggling to steady my breathing. "I just want to be left alone. Is that too much to ask?" Ivan laughed cruelly, the sound echoing in my ears. "You're weak, Marcus. A little crybaby. You don't deserve to be here." As Ivan raised his fist for another strike, a scream escaped my lips. I closed my eyes and waited. A loud noise reverberated in the room, and when I opened my eyes, Ivan lay unconscious on the floor. Confusion washed over me, mingling with relief. "If you ever touch him again, you'll face the consequences," a familiar voice declared. I looked up, finding Lean standing there, his gaze piercing and determined. Instantly, the place became quiet. Lean is very popular in our school since he is the student council vice president, and everyone respects him for that. Lean reached out a hand to help me up. Concern etched across his face. "Come on, Marcus, let's get you out of here." As I took his hand, I couldn't help but feel a surge of gratitude and strength. "Why did you do that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Why did you stand up for me?" Lean gave me a small smile, his grip tightening around my hand. "Because no one deserves to be treated like that, especially not my stepbrother. I won't let him get away with this." Lean's father, Joey, married my mother, Helen, 2 years ago, when we were both 16. Ever since then, my mother and I have been living in Lean's house. However, Lean has always been very distant and formal towards me at home. Perhaps he never liked me, but now he's showing me kindness for the first time. It's interesting because no one at school knows that we're stepbrothers, mainly because we don't interact there either. As we arrived home, my cheek was throbbing from the punch that Ivan had delivered to me earlier. Lean quickly grabbed some first aid supplies, and I sat still as he tended to my swollen cheek. His touch was gentle, but every time he pressed the cloth against my face, pain shot through me, and I winced involuntarily. "Stop moving," he said. "I'm sorry, but I can't help it," I responded. He wiped my cheek with cotton, and I winced in pain. I held his hand to move it away from me. "I don't want to continue. It hurts. Let's just leave it." "We can't. Your wound might get infected," he replied. I winced again as I felt the sting of alcohol on my skin, so I moved away. Lean looked at me, his forehead furrowed, and irritation apparent on his face. "Stop moving or I'll kiss you." The threat hung in the air for a moment, and I thought for a second that Lean might be serious. But then he gave me a dry, sarcastic look and rolled his eyes. "Can't you take a joke?" I felt my cheeks flush, embarrassed at my own reaction to his teasing. For 2 years, I had felt a constant ache in my chest whenever I saw Lean, but I had never dared to express my feelings. I thought he hated me because my mother was the reason why his parents separated. One day, our parents mentioned the idea of going out of town for a much-needed vacation. They wanted the 4 of us to relax and unwind for 2 whole days, so we decided to visit a beach resort. Excitement filled the air as we entered the resort and explored all the amenities it had to offer. As I walked toward the public toilet, I could feel Lean trailing behind me. I hadn't given it much thought until we both entered the restroom. Taking the adjacent urinals in my peripheral vision, I accidentally glanced towards Lean. My cheeks flushed immediately when he looked back, fearing he might think I was peeping. I quickly walked towards the mirror, pretending to be interested in applying sunscreen and lotion. "What's all this for?" he asked, gesturing towards the bottles in my hands. I smiled and explained, "I don't want my skin to get too dark from the sun. Gotta protect it, you know?" Lean nodded, seemingly intrigued by this aspect of skincare. Then, with an innocent and hopeful expression on his face, Lean spoke again, almost sheepishly. "Hey, Marcus, do you think you could put some lotion on me too?" I was taken aback by his request. It seemed so intimate, so unexpected. But how could I say no? After all, Lean trusted me enough to ask for this personal favor. I hesitated for a moment before finally nodding in agreement. "Sure, Lean, I can do that," I managed to say, my voice slightly shaky. Lean flashed me a grateful smile. "Maybe you should take off my shirt too," he suggested, making me blush slightly. With a deep breath, I slowly removed his t-shirt, trying to ignore the embarrassment bubbling within me. "Thanks, Marcus. Now you could put some lotion on my abs?" he requested, pointing to his stomach. My hands trembled slightly as I uncapped the lotion, my gaze fixated on his incredible physique. I couldn't help but admire the hard-earned muscles and toned abs that I had never seen so up close before. The sensuality of the moment seemed palpable, and my heart raced in my chest. But to my dismay, it seemed that Lean barely noticed my reaction. He stood there completely oblivious, chatting away about his plans for the day. I managed to regain my composure and apply the lotion to his abs, my touch gentle and careful. "Thank you, Marcus," he said, completely unaware of the turmoil he caused within me. He patted my shoulder and invited me to go outside, and I followed him. As Lean and I strolled down the beach, 2 girls had just approached us out of nowhere. "Hi," the petite one waved her hand. "I'm Jenny, and this is my friend Joy. Can we ask your names?" Lean answered, "Well, I'm Lean. He's Marcus." "You two look like you could help us out on a challenge we're having with our friends," Joy exclaimed. "A challenge?" I asked, slightly confused. Jenny spoke up next. "Yeah, we need to find handsome and hot boyfriends for one day that we only met at the resort today. Whoever doesn't have a boyfriend at the end of the day has to pay for all our fees." I didn't want to participate in this little game that they had going on. I didn't come to this island for some petty challenge. But Lean, who had already agreed, said it was no problem for him. "I don't have a girlfriend anyway, so no one's going to be mad," he said boldly. "Yay, Lean's my boyfriend now." "Well, what about you, Marcus?" Joy called out. "I really don't want to," I said, my voice trailing off. At that point, Lean interjected. "Come on, Marcus, we might as well play along. We don't want Jenny to be left out, right?" Reluctantly, I nodded my head in agreement. "Since you're going, then I'll just go." That's how we ended up getting invited to a bonfire that night, and the girls said that they would be drinking liquor. "I guess that could be fun," I said, still feeling a bit skeptical. "Yeah," Lean exclaimed, "I'm definitely in." As we stumbled onto the cottage in the dark, Joy clung to Lean like a leech. We were all a little tipsy from the drinks that we had shared. We laughed and joked about random things as we settled in. Soon enough, we found ourselves playing Truth or Dare. When it was Lean's turn, Jenny asked him, "So, Lean." "Yes," Lean answered. "What would be the worst thing you would ever do in your life?" I watched as Lean hesitated for a moment before confidently saying, "Kiss a man." The room was silent for a moment before everyone started shouting in surprise. The bottle spun again and landed on Lean once more. This time he chose dare. Joey, always the troublemaker, told him, "Go kiss a man." The room erupted in excitement and encouragement for a moment. Lean hesitated, but then he decided to go for it. "I'm already dizzy," he said, trying to sound casual. "What's one more crazy thing?" And before I knew it, he was walking towards me. I felt my heart rate increase, my palms sweating. I had never kissed a man before, never even thought about it. But here it was, seconds away from experiencing something entirely new and unexpected. As Lean pulled me up, I could feel the eyes of everyone in the room on us. I could hear their excited whispers, their cheers, their laughter. I tried to stay calm, to tell myself that it was just a game, that it didn't mean anything. But when Lean's lips touched mine, I lost all my composure. As Lean walked back to his seat, he gave us all thumbs up and asked if what he did was okay. I couldn't even respond. I just sat there, staring off into space, trying to process what had just happened. As the night went on, I tried my best to act normal, but I could tell that something had changed between Lean and me. Eventually, the party came to an end and everyone went their separate ways. As we got back to the hotel room and found our parents sleeping, I felt my stomach drop. The room had only 2 beds, and Lean and I had to sleep beside each other. The thought of sleeping next to him after the kiss he had given me earlier made me incredibly nervous. Lean seemed very drunk and wasn't sure if he even knew what he was doing. As we lay down, I stiffened when he embraced me. Hey, Lean. I think you're too driven by the alcohol," I whispered. I tried to break free, but his legs locked around my body, and then I felt him slightly leaning towards me. Lean, I gasped, when I felt his lips brushed against mine. I instantly became weak, and I had no strength to push him away. At first it was gentle, but soon it deepened, and I could feel the heat rising between us. Lean seemed thirsty for my kiss, and I couldn't believe what was happening. As the kiss began to go slower, he buried his face in my neck. After a while, he fell asleep, and I was left lying there, staring up at the ceiling, unable to sleep. I couldn't stop replaying the kiss in my head, wondering what it meant, if it meant anything at all. The next day, everything returned to normal. Lean acted as if nothing happened between us, so I did the same. We spent the rest of the day swimming and eating. When we arrived home, we went to our respective rooms. We instantly fell asleep quickly due to the fatigue from the trip. I woke up to find Lean beside me, sleeping soundly with his arms wrapped around me. At first, I was taken aback. We weren't drunk this time, so he must have been fully aware of what he was doing. "Hey, Lean," I whispered, trying to rouse him again. He groaned and opened his eyes, looking a little disoriented. "Why did you sleep next to me?" I asked again. But instead of answering, he just snuggled closer to me, burying his face in my neck. It was a little weird, but I had to admit that it felt kinda nice. I let him stay there for a few minutes, enjoying the warmth of his body next to mine. "Don't you like it?" he spoke. "What?" "Cuddling with me." I stood frozen as Lean's lips brushed against my neck. My instincts screamed at me to push him away, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Instead, I hugged him tightly, basking in the warmth of his embrace. Before I knew it, his lips were on mine, and it was unlike any kiss I'd ever experienced. It was deep and passionate, igniting a fire within me that I didn't know existed. "I've been falling for you for 2 years now," Lean confessed, his eyes locked onto mine. Huh? I was so shocked, and I don't know what to say. "I've been pretending that I don't care for you. That's why. I was always cold at first. But as time goes by, I can't hide my feelings anymore." "You're really an amazing person, Marcus. You're smart, kind, and very attractive." My heart skipped a beat at his words. Had he really been feeling the same way I had? I could hardly believe it. "Really?" I asked. He nodded to confirm. "I feel the same way," I admitted, offering him a smile. And just like that, we were in a relationship. When our parents weren't around, we would kiss and sleep beside each other, relishing in the newfound intimacy between us. But when we were in front of our parents, we were cold and distant, hiding our true feelings from them. It wasn't ideal, but we were content with our secret relationship, for now. However, no secret remains secret forever. Our parents are gone again for a 3-day business trip. Lean and I decided to take a shower together. When we were both naked, I pushed his back against the wall. As I pressed my lip against Lean's, I couldn't help but reveal the feeling of the water cascading over us. It was as if the world melted away, and it was just the two of us lost in the intensity of the moment. "What on earth is going on here?" We were interrupted by a loud scream. I suddenly looked at the door and we were both surprised to see that it was Mom, who caught us kissing under the shower. I felt extremely embarrassed, so I pushed Lean away and covered ourselves with a towel. My stepdad, Joey, immediately appeared next to Mom with the same reaction. They were shocked. "What is happening in here, you two?" he exclaimed. "Mom, Dad, I can explain," I said. My stepdad raised his voice. "Explain? How long has this been going on? Are you two in a relationship?" "We love each other, Dad. It's not wrong just because we're stepbrothers," Lean answered. "Love or no love, this is unacceptable. I'm so disgusted you cannot be together like this under our roof." "But Dad," Lean refused. "Have you not thought this through, Lean? It's a shame to our family. From now on, you're both grounded. Stay in your rooms and stop whatever it is that's going on with you. Don't ever try to disobey me or else I will disown you." I thought Lean would fight for our relationship, but ever since our parents discovered our secret, he's been distancing himself from me. I've tried to talk to him, but he refused. He always locks his door and doesn't even want to be near me. I've gotten used to his cold treatment, as well as our parents. It feels like they still accuse us of having a secret relationship, even though we're doing everything we can to avoid each other. "Hey, Marcus," my classmate Jake said as he approached me in the classroom. "Hi," I greeted back. "I heard that you and Lean are stepbrothers." I nodded. "Yeah, how did you know?" "From my cousin Klare. She's studying in school near ours. She told me Lean is her boyfriend." I couldn't believe what I had just heard. All this time I thought Lean was avoiding me because our parents wouldn't approve of us, but it turns out he was just getting in a relationship with another girl. I felt incredibly hurt and insecure all of a sudden. I regretted not being born a girl, so that Lean could pursue me genuinely. Maybe then I wouldn't feel so jealous and left out. My insecurities became worse when he introduced the girl to our parents. She's petite and cute, and I can see why he liked her. When her parents learned about Lean's relationship with Klare, they became comfortable with us again. They thought that maybe Lean and I had moved on from each other. But they're wrong. I've always been jealous the whole time, but I had to pretend that it didn't affect me. When our parents went out of town again, leaving Lean and I alone in the house, I took advantage of it to confront him privately. I knocked on his door. "We need to talk," I told him. He just nodded. I walked towards the living area to sit on the sofa. I watched as Lean walked across the room and plopped himself onto the couch next to me. With a sigh, I turned towards him, my eyes locked on his. "Why all of a sudden? You already have a girlfriend. Have you flirted with her for a long time? You already know each other? It's so quick. Did you even love me?" Lean shifted in his seat before finally looking me in the eye. "I need to tell you something," he said slowly. My heart began racing and I could feel the tension building between us. "What is it?" I never really meant to hurt you," Lean said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I just wanted to get our parents' trust back." I furrowed my brow, not quite understanding where he was going with this. "What are you talking about?" Lean sighed, running his hands through his hair. I started dating Klare to make it seem like I was moving on. I never meant for you to get hurt, but I still love you, Marcus. I always have." My eyes widened in shock and I felt the lump from my throat. "You what?" I asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. "I love you," Lean repeated, his voice stronger this time. "I know I messed things up, but I want to make it right. I want to be with you again." I don't know what to say. Part of me was ecstatic to hear this declaration of love, but the other part of me was scared of what would happen if our parents found out. After a few moments of silence, I finally spoke up. "What about Klare? It's so unfair for her." Klare was aware of the charade, but she said that she didn't seem to mind. She's okay to help and support us. "By pretending?" He nodded. "Yes." "We can't tell our parents," I said firmly. "Not yet. We'll have to hide our relationship from them for now." Lean nodded, looking a little relieved. "I understand. I'll pretend to be in love with Klare, and we'll keep our relationship secret." As the days went by, Lean and I spent more time together. We were happier than we had been in months, and he knew that I'd made the right choice by giving him another chance. When my parents are around, Lean and Klare will act sweet, but when they're gone, Lean assures me how much he loves me, and what he acted was just pretension. I was not jealous since I trust him so much. One time, Lean, Klare, and I are having a good time at a mall. "Babe," Lean called Klare, and I looked at him. When she realized that it was not her whom Lean called, she immediately looked away. Please kiss me, Lean said seductively as he leaned towards me. I laughed awkwardly. Hey, we're in a public space. Besides, I don't want Klare to feel out of place. She surely won't mind, right, Klare? Lean asked. Klare slightly nodded as she brushed her lower lip. Sure. She looked away as soon as we kissed. I could tell that something was wrong, and I wanted to know what it was. Klare, are you okay? I asked her, concerned. She shook her head and looked up at us, forcing a smile on her face. Yes, I'm fine. I'm just happy for you guys, she said, trying to convince us that everything was all right. I could see through her smile and knew that something was off. I knew Klare had feelings for Lean. She was just not admitting it to us, and seeing us together was not easy for her. But I couldn't help myself. I love Lean. Are you sure you're okay? I asked Klare once more. She nodded and turned away, walking towards the nearby store. I felt bad for Klare, but I just couldn't give up my love for Lean. Lean suddenly went to CR, leaving me and Klare alone. That time I decided to confront her. Klare, I said, I know you have feelings for Lean. I can feel that you're hurting whenever he becomes affectionate towards me. She smiled weakly. I confirmed what I said when I saw tears fall from her eyes. I love him, she confesses as she wiped her tears off. When Lean came back, she turned to him. I love you, Lean. I know I promised to support you and agreed to help, but as I spend more time with you, it becomes harder to say to myself that I was just pretending. She took a deep breath before saying, I can't pretend anymore. Even if it's so impossible, I still want to ask if, maybe, you also feel the same way. If not, I need to move on. I looked at Lean and he stared back at me with a bewildered expression on his face. I don't know what to say, Klare, Lean replied hesitantly. I care about you deeply, but I'm not sure if I feel the same way. I need some time to think about this. Klare nodded and stood up, tears streaming down her face. I understand, she said, but you need to choose now. It's either me or Markus. My heart sank as I realized what Klare was asking. I couldn't believe she was putting us both through this, but I can't blame her. I'm sorry, Klare, Lean replied softly, but I choose Markus. I love him with all my heart. Klare's face crumbled and she turned and walked away. I felt a pang of sadness for Klare, but at the same time I was grateful to Lean for choosing me. Since that day, we never saw Klare again. After 2 years, my stepdad got sick. Lean was not able to take care of him since he's busy at academics, while my mom took care of all the responsibilities in the business. I was the one who took full care of my stepdad. I watched as Dad struggled to move from one side of the bed to the other. He was weak, frail, and it broke my heart every time I saw him like this. Markus, could you bring me some water, please? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sure thing, I replied, walking over to the small fridge in the room and grabbing a bottle of water. As I unscrewed the cap and handed it to him, he took a few sips before putting it back down on the bedside table. He looked at me, his eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you for taking care of me, Markus, he said, his voice soft and vulnerable. I didn't know what I would do without you. I smiled at him, trying to stay positive even though I knew it was hard for him to recover. No problem, Dad. We're in this together. We'll get through it. There was a moment of silence between us, and I could see the sadness in his eyes. It was like he was giving up. Are you okay? I asked, my voice laced with concern. He looked away from me, tears welling up in his eyes. I'm just so tired, Markus. I don't know if I have the strength to keep fighting. I walked over to him, placing a hand on his shoulder. Hey, don't say that. You're going to get better, I know it. He shook his head, the tears now streaming down his face. I'm not so sure, Markus. Maybe it's time for me to go. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I felt a lump form in my throat, and I struggled to hold back tears. No, you can't give up. You have to keep fighting. We need you here. He looked up at me and smiled weakly. I'm not giving up, Markus. I just need a break, but I promise you, I'll keep fighting. I nodded, relieved that he wasn't giving up. Okay, we'll take it one day at a time, and I'll be here for you every step of the way. He grabbed my hand, squeezing it tightly. Thank you, Markus. You're like a real son to me. I sat there for a few moments, watching him sleep before getting up and leaving the room. After a month, he recovered. He gained his strength again, and I cooked healthy foods for him every day, so he would surely not get sick again. Thank you so much, Markus. I appreciated everything you've done, Dad said. I gave him a smile. No problem, Dad. Anytime. As I held Lean close, our lips locked in a passionate kiss. I couldn't help but let myself get lost in the moment. The feeling of his touch and the taste of his lips against mine were all consuming, and for a moment it felt like time had stopped. But time did not stand still, and reality quickly caught up to us in the form of a sound on the front door cracking open. Panic surged through my veins like a wildfire. We had forgotten to lock the door, and now our secret was at risk of being exposed. As we broke apart, I turned my head to see our parents standing there, their eyes wide with shock and disbelief. Markus, Lean. My mother's voice trembled with confusion. What on earth is going on here? I took a deep breath, my mind racing to find the right words to explain the situation. I never wanted to hurt our parents, and I certainly never intended for our relationship to be kept a secret for this long. But fear and uncertainty had kept us silent all these years. Mom, Dad, I began, my voice shaking slightly. We've been together for 3 years now. We didn't want to hurt you, so we kept it a secret. We really love each other, Dad, Lean spoke. Please don't be mad. My stepdad, who had always been the strict and disciplinarian type, opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. His face softened and his tears welled in his eyes. I remember when I got sick, he finally spoke, his voice filled with gratitude. Markus was always there for me when I needed a company, when I was hopeless, and I thought that I would not survive. He encouraged me. Markus, I owe you my life, and I have no rights to be mad. Your relationship lasted for years, so I guess you really loved each other so much, despite all the consequences. You have my approval. Do what you want to do, and I will support the both of you. Tears pulled in my eyes as I realized just how much my actions had meant to him. My mother Helen, who had always been the calm and composed figure in our lives, walked over to us. She looked at us with a flicker of understanding in her eyes. I don't want to make a big issue out of this, she said, her voice gentle. We're getting old, and I'd rather not spend our remaining years stressed and worried. If you two are happy together, then I'm okay with it. Every emotion I had been holding back burst forth, and I rushed to embrace our parents. The three of us stood there, in a tight embrace, tears mingling with smiles. The weight of secrecy that had burdened us for so long was finally lifted, and it felt like the entire world had shifted into a brighter, more accepting place. I stood hand in hand with Lean, my heart brimming with joy and anticipation. Today was the day we had been waiting for, the day of our marriage. The sun smiled upon us, casting its warm golden rays over the beautifully adorned garden where our wedding ceremony was taking place. Our friends and family had gathered around, their eyes shimmering with happiness as they witnessed our love-filled union. As the ceremony concluded, Lean and I exchanged smiles, knowing as our journey as a married couple was just beginning. With an air of excitement, we led the way towards the reception area, eager to celebrate this special day with our loved ones. I approached our parents, feeling a sense of gratitude overwhelm me. Mom, Dad, I said, my voice tinged with emotion. I can't express how grateful I am to have you both here with us today. Your love and support have meant the world to me, and I'm so glad that you could witness this beautiful moment. My mother's eyes glistened with tears of happiness as she hugged me tightly. Markus, my dear boy, this day is a testament to the amazing person you've become. We're so proud of you, and Lean, may your journey together be filled with love, laughter, and endless joy. My stepdad smiled warmly and placed a hand on my shoulder. Son, seeing you so happy brings me immeasurable joy. I know you two will build a beautiful life together. Remember to cherish and support each other through all the ups and downs. As the evening progressed, Lean and I moved from table to table, mingling with our family. Laughter and stories filled the air, creating the tapestry of shared memories. Lean and I were embarking on a journey together, hand in hand, with the blessings of our loved ones. And as we danced under the starry night sky, I knew that this was just the beginning of our lifetime filled with happiness, love, and cherished moments with our family by our side. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.